What's a wholesome secret you have? My dad always retells stories and a few sentences in he'll ask, have I told you this before? I always say no because I love hearing him tell stories, and he loves telling them, even when I've heard it so much that I have it memorized. I love this one. I lost my dad 13 years ago and I would give anything to have him repeat one of his stories again. My stepdad died in January. The 23rd of June would have been their 20th wedding anniversary. She has been so down since his passing. Also knowing the things he did to prep before he became bedbound. Taking her car and having it serviced and brand new tires. Filling the cabinet with the hard to find sort of expensive dog treats, etc. I had a big floral arrangement sent to her on their anniversary day. Signing the card "I'm always with you," and threatened the floral shop with life and limb to not tell who came in and paid for it. She was so happy. She thinks he thought of if and really it was me. I'll never tell. You are a beautiful human. A few years ago I was out with a friend at a restaurant celebrating and he feels super awkward about having stuff paid for him. So he asked us all not to pay for his dinner. I gave the waiter my card and told her to tell him that his dinner was on the house because it was his birthday. He believed it and keeps raving about how that restaurant has great service now. He still doesn't know it was me, but it makes me smile every time he talks about how much he likes the restaurant. Awkward for everyone else going there on their birthday. I live in a village that is like 80% old people, meaning they can't walk up to the church and see their loved ones' graves very often. Once a month I go into the graveyard and clean all the graves and make sure they have fresh flowers on them and they look nice. I got caught once by an elderly lady who has since died. I take extra time on hers because she was just so sweet. My boyfriend tends to grind his teeth at night during his deepest sleep cycles or when he's having a stressful dream. To help lull him out of the dream and get him to relax so he doesn't wake up with a sore jaw, I start rubbing his arm, gently call out his name, and in an overly loving whisper say things like, "I love you, you're the best, I'm right here, you're my guy," and then I ask him very politely to please stop grinding his teeth. He always responds with happy murmurs even though he's dead asleep, and then calms down enough where he stops grinding and drifts back off without ever actually waking up. He generally has no idea I do this and I just smile to myself when he wakes the following day, remarking how great he slept. I'm so trying this. My boyfriend grinds his teeth and shouts in his sleep a lot. I never thought the two were related. In our house we have a safe. In the safe there is an envelope of our online accounts and PW in case one of us dies. One of the notes is instructions to an email account my wife doesn't know. If she accesses the account, she'll find hundreds of love letters or love emails to her. This is so beautiful. I want to be a dad. I want that more than any career goal I've ever made. Even though that hasn't happened yet, I've had the opportunity to adopt college kids in my town, teaching them to dance, helping them figure out dating, making them tea, teaching them games, and talking through all sorts of life with them. I get to laugh with them and I get to cry with them. And I make them better off when they return to their families. One of them carved me a walking stick with a beautiful small bird whittled into the handle. I almost started crying as he said the words, "Happy Father's Day. You're a good dad." I put together a surprise Christmas for my sister, her husband, and their 5 kids about a decade ago after finding out they didn't have any money for presents due to emergency expenses. Dropped off family presents for the 12 days prior to the holiday coats one night, a big dinner one night, hot chocolate kits, etc. And once my, then, husband's ridiculously rich family found out what I was doing, they joined the cause. By Christmas Eve we had about $4K in presents ranging from clothes, to toys, to Home Depot gift cards to drop off. Hired a Santa lookalike to ring the doorbell at 10 p.m. and drop the toys off for us. He also ended up giving them $500 of his own money. She still has no idea who was behind it to this day, and I hope she never finds out. She and her now grown kids still talk about the magic Christmas Santa visited us. This is so sweet, and the fact that the Santa gave $500 of his own money makes me believe he really was Santa. I love you and everyone involved in this. My mom divorced my abusive father when I was 10. She was going through a hard time, sleepwalking and doing weird stuff. I would wake up and bring her back to bed. One night, I got up out of bed to check on her. She was sleeping peacefully, so I just stood there and watched her. Then I kissed her on the cheek and went back to bed. Years later, I overheard her telling a friend about that rough time in her life, and how one night, she felt like she was kissed by an angel and finally found peace. I guess I was her angel. This is so precious. I'm the person secretly sending the flowers the elderly ladies at the nursing home once a month. They deserve it and are the sweetest things. Maybe it was very dumb and slightly creepy of me, but back in 7th grade I would follow a lot of PPL from school on Instagram, and often I would see that some classmates and friends were depressed or just going through a rough time, so I would write them a letter with some encouraging words and put in like $10 from the money I had saved up through the years and tell them to buy something nice with it. I would watch them during school to see what their locker was and sneak out during class to go to the restroom and put the letter in their locker. This is so freaking sweet. Thank you for being you. You probably saved some lives with your kindness. In high school, I started a compliments page for my school on Facebook. People would write in compliments about each other and I'd post them anonymously. I was deeply depressed and wanted to make a positive impact in my community when I felt really powerless. I never told anyone who was behind it, but knowing the kindness people showed their friends and classmates was really special and solidified my faith in humanity when I was at a real low point in my life. This is beautiful. Due to a complicated inside joke among my friends, I run a meme account on Instagram called Great Blue Heron. It's literally just an account my friends follow where I post low effort memes about herons, complete with a heron profile picture. For some reason though, every few days random wildlife photographers will tag the account in pictures they take of great blue herons. I've never told anyone this, but after a while I started liking and commenting on all the posts, usually complimenting them on their photography skills. It's nice to think that my obscure shitposting account can brighten someone's day with a little chaotic energy. I had this 87-year-old neighbor whose husband died, and my mom asked me to go bring her a thing of flowers and told me to send our condolences. I went over and did what my mom said, and when she saw the flowers she mentioned that her husband used to get her a bouquet of flowers every day for 64 years and that she was going to miss that. So for a little over 3 years I would go out, get a bouquet of flowers, and put it in her mailbox without her knowing, so that when her grandson came and got her mail she would have the bouquet of flowers. She never found out who was doing it. She was a really nice lady and would sit on her front porch in the summer and watch the children play on the road. Invited my sisters and me to sit with her and talk. I became really good friends with her. A couple of weeks after her 90th birthday she had a stroke and passed away. I still leave flowers on her grave every other week. It's been 2 years and I still miss her to this day. Rest in peace, Mrs. Johnson. I'm glad I could continue bringing you flowers like your husband did. I hope you two are together somewhere with a garden full of those daisies you loved so much. I'm not crying. My eyes are sweating. I'm about 14 years older than my sister, who's going to be a junior in high school in the fall. She's extremely smart and has been taking classes for college credit since 8th grade. She's already being scouted by recruiters from some of the best schools in the country, including MIT and Cornell. She doesn't know it yet, but wherever she chooses to go to school, it's already paid for. I set up a trust fund to give her a full college education with no debt. Literally every single thing I do in my life is to make my nana proud. It's honestly the one thing I genuinely care about. She's the reason I went to college, the reason I worked hard to get a good job, the reason I lost the weight and took back control of my health. All for her. My life is wonderful because of her. Take good care of her then. This sounds bittersweet for some reason. My parents don't really know how to use tech much. I've been slowly teaching them step by step on stuff like Facebook, using a phone, using a tablet, etc. They like going to Starbucks a lot, so I set them up with an account and taught them how to use it. However, I set my credit card to be used whenever they go and buy coffee. I keep a list of things that I observe people I love enjoying or wanting, so I know what to get them for Christmas birthday presents. I have a couple of relatives that did do this. You are all amazing. I try to remember something special for someone I care about and end up with bupkis 99% of the time. The other 1% is no great shakes either. Then I open a gift that is just perfect and I know someone was listening to something I said 6 months ago and remembered it. I watch my stepmother's streams and talk to her. She doesn't know it's me and she always gets excited when viewers talk to her. I make fake TikTok acts to gas up my 6-year-old. He makes videos of his progress learning how to fingerboard and I've never seen him so excited every time he gets a new comment or follower. It's been amazing for his self-esteem and pride. I won't share this with anyone, but once I was at a diner that had one of those grapple arcade machines. I saw 2 little girls trying to get an Elsa stuffed figure, and they ended up losing their money trying to get it. So I called them over and said I would win it for them. Once I said it I was scared cause I realized I promised something that I couldn't do, but I got super lucky and got it first try. I gave it to the girls, it made their day, and their smiles made mine. Moral of the story, little things like that can make a big difference, so go make someone's day. Every year my school did thing where you could buy someone a chocolate rose on Valentine's Day and choose to remain anonymous. They were like $10 and really crummy, but every year I'd save what I could and buy the people I thought were least likely to get one a rose so they had a good day. Look on my chocolate roses, ye mighty, and despair. I carry around things to help me take care of sick bees and make them better. A bit of white sugar and a bit of water often gives the bee the shot of adrenaline to the heart a bee needs, the sugar rush. But remember this is only in emergencies. Bees produce poor quality honey for their larvae if all they eat is sugar and water. And don't use brown sugar or honey as they introduce pathogens that the hive may not have built up an immunity for. About 14 years ago, I met a homeless man who had just moved under a bridge at my favorite swimming hole. When we hung out and chatted with him we noticed he was fishing with string and a bent wire for a hook. We asked him if he wanted one of our old fishing rods and some tackle stuff. He said no, he was fine with what he had. We never saw him with food or anything, so we started offering food and rides. He wouldn't take any help. My husband at the time, or my sister offered. All he had was a bike and some blankets. He started work at a Hardee's and would bike there. We live in the country so it was pretty far. We were dirt poor too, but we had to do something. So one day, when he first started his job, we brought lots of spoons, pulled top canned food and I baked a cake and left it all at his spot. I figured maybe he would take it if he thought no one would know. We brought a tarp and hung it up so he would have more shelter and privacy. The next day we went back and he had shifted the tarp over more to make his corner smaller and my cake plate and an empty can of ravioli was sitting in his little trash pile at his home. I was so happy he took what we could give and we always visited him to fish and never told him we left it for him. One day he wasn't there anymore. All his stuff was gone and I like to think he finally saved enough to get a place. I usually work closing shifts and have often been in a low-level management position at various crappy jobs like fast food etc. Usually no more than 5 or so co-workers on those shifts. Well, at the Burger King I worked at, the manager got Christmas cards for the day shift and did a whole secret Santa thing for them. Didn't let the closers participate. I went out secretly and got every closer a $20 gift that I knew they'd like as I worked with these people every day, and got myself one as a cover so they wouldn't suspect me. Labeled all the gifts as being from Santa Claus. I've done the same thing at every job I've worked since because, invariably, the night crew gets shafted while the day crew got bonuses or cards or parties etc. I used variants on the name like Closer Father Christmas or Cafe Kris Kringle. No one ever figured out it was me, but seeing co-workers come in with that "why the frick am I here" look and then have their face light up at a small thing is always really nice to see. I mean, it visibly makes their day or their week and so I keep doing it. As a night crew worker, just the acknowledgement of how much we get shafted by morning and mid shifts is so nice to hear. You make their day more than you know. I adore "I knew she was the one when" stories. I like to envision my future husband telling a story like that someday. That hopefully doesn't begin with seeing me drunk and getting tased by 5 cops. Plot twist: your future husband will turn out to be one of the cops who was tasing you. I compliment people no matter what they look like because I'm trying to be the person I need when my depression hits hard. Every time I go out I pull $10 out and buy a $5 fruit cup from the fruit stand vendors and give them the other $5 as a tip. I don't make a lot of money so it may not be much, but it's been a routine thing for a while now and I never really mention it to anyone except this thread. I wish I was rich so I could give them a lot more. They make their living in the hot sun and now with the pandemic are still out there risking their health in the heat to make a decent living. They deserve a lot more. That $10 can make a big difference in weeks. I know somebody who gave 10 anonymous $10,000 grants to small business owners in our town during the shutdown. He asked somebody else to decide on the recipients based on their contributions to our community and culture. He didn't even pick them. He just wanted to do what he could to ensure that we were still us on the other side. To my knowledge, only 3 people know his name. My wife made the selections and distributed the funds. I send my aunt $50 in the mail every month. She doesn't know who it's from, and it's all I can afford, but she's a single mum of 2 teenage boys who eat her out of house and home and don't contribute crap. I've berated them many times but they see a free home and play video games 24/7 and don't care that their mum works 14-hour days at her own business just because she can't afford to pay for staff. No one knows it's me, and she'll never find out, but I know it helps her buy groceries so I'll keep on doing for as long as I can. Just make sure it's not the boys who open and keep the money. My long-term partner thinks he is the champion of making coffee. Absolutely, the best. His coffee delivers a Nirvana experience every morning. He's a coffee artist. When we started dating almost 10 years ago, he wooed me with his amazing coffee, freshly made each morning, with cinnamon sprinkles on top. His coffee so works. It's bad. So bad. I sip on it for a few minutes, let it get cold, and dump it down the sink. My partner used to smoke a lot, about 3 years free of it now, and he's always had a massive sweet tooth. He puts so much sugar in the coffee that the bottom of it is a clear, melted, grainy crust. He adds so much spices on top that it literally feels like drinking sand. Sometimes the layer of spice is so thick, you can barely see the liquid surface underneath it, and it's so overwhelmingly sweet, you can't taste the coffee at all. But it's so heartwarming when he delivers it to my desk, specially made just for me. This is the first time I've admitted this to anyone. I hate his coffee. I will take this secret to my grave. I was going through a tough time and had to get some blood work done. One thing led to another and I just couldn't stop crying and felt so depressed and lost. I went back to my car and sat in the parking garage contemplating any reason to live. An older woman tapped on my window. It looked like she was going through chemo. She asked to hold my hand and pray for me. Even though I'm not religious, it meant something to me. She was so kind and wonderful and I truly think she saved my life. Now when I see people crying I try to do the same. Grandmother came to the States when she married a man while he stationed in Okinawa. Very few trips back because they were poor. Divorced years later having kids. She hasn't been back to visit her family in 25 years. Was able to go on a study abroad to Japan and was able to meet her family I've never met before with a huge language barrier. Made her sister an updated photo album of her nieces and nephews she's never met before. The only ones that know about this are my grandmother, parents and siblings. If I see an elderly person dining out alone, I will oftentimes pay their bill. I don't have a job right now but I hope to have one again soon so I can continue. I left a coat at a friend's party. It wasn't expensive. Got it at a charity shop a few weeks back and liked it. I got a call a few days later from my friend saying someone had left a coat and if no one claimed that she'd take it because she really wanted it. She tried it on and loved it. I decided to just let sleeping dogs lie because she looked great and was really happy. My apartment complex laundromat machines sometimes stop in the middle of a cycle even if it's been paid for and there's time remaining. I have no idea why the machines do that. They're just crappy I guess. So the last few times I've done laundry and noticed that on machines, I just reselect the cycle again so the machine restarts. Whenever I go out to eat I'll buy an extra dish to go just in case I bump into someone hungry. There's always a hungry person out there. You're so thoughtful. Bless you. I love food and I love to cook food. I'm not at a chef level, but I can make it work. My husband has a fear that he recently confessed to me. He said he's afraid I won't like his PB&Js with coffee or his late night special grilled cheese because my taste will get too extreme for me to not like simple things. This man doesn't know I'd give up literally anything in the world to have his PB&J and his amazing double crust grilled cheese. He doesn't know that his simple sandwiches are my actual comfort food. It brings me more joy than any expensive restaurant's food. One day I rang my father, who was due to pick me up from school, to ask if he would mind dropping off a classmate of mine called Rose as well. Sure, he answered. The day went by and suddenly I realized I would need to stay longer at school than expected. I phoned my father again. Would it be okay if he only picked up Rose? Sure, he answered. How will I recognize her? She's wearing a turquoise hat. You can't miss her. True, Rose's hat was highly visible. And true, a distinguishing detail was crucial because 200 other students would be leaving the school at the same time as her. All went fine. My father picked up Rose and drove her home. Fast forward 3 years. My parents and I are eating dinner at their place. The conversation is about things that make you proud of family, friends and colleagues. Do you remember the day you asked me to pick up a friend of yours from your school? My father suddenly asks. I nod. And do you remember telling me that I'd spot her in the crowd thanks to her turquoise hat? I nod again. Well, I learned something important about you that day. I'm now fearing the worst. But my father smiles. Anyone in the world, myself included, would have picked a different detail to distinguish Rose from the crowd. I still can't see where my father is going with this. She was black. That plot twist was so on point. About 6 years ago my girlfriend at the time mentioned a family friend of hers who was struggling financially and was barely able to feed her kids. So without telling anyone I went to the grocery store, bought about 20 cans of Chef Boyardee, and dropped them off at the woman's front door when nobody was home, apart from my ex. And that's only because I told her, and she agreed to keep my involvement a secret. Nobody has ever figured out who left the cans there. I once gave a homeless man $10 bucks, a Sprite and some chips. Man literally started to break down and cry. I hope he's doing good today. You a good person. My best friend thinks I collect comic books as a hobby, but I just buy a lot of comic books because he's into them and always reads them, but doesn't have enough to buy his own. I always tell my cats I love them before I leave the house, and whenever I get home I tell them hello my beautiful babies. They always get super excited when I come home and it melts my heart. When I was in 6th grade I always wanted to hug my friends but they never wanted to, which always made me sad. One day I lied and said it was International Hug Day. I started with my closest friend at the time. She hugged me back. Then someone overheard. Then someone else overheard. By lunchtime another girl from my grade who I didn't really talk to hugged me and said Happy International Hug Day. No one knew I made it up and it somehow spread through my entire grade. I am currently giving it everything I have to pursue my career. My parents and girlfriend support me. I secretly hope to one day be able to provide for my parents and give them everything they want because they've risked and sacrificed a lot to allow me to be where I am now. My little sisters don't know they are the reason I haven't committed suicide. They have always looked up to me and every time I got depressed I thought of them and think to myself, these angels are the reason you smile and you make them smile. Don't take their smile away. Sorry if this may be a bit sad for this thread. New to Reddit. Sorry not sure on etiquette yet. Edit. Thanks for the support. I am doing well. The wife gives me lots of love on my bad days. Mainly movies and cuddles. Frick etiquette. This is cute AF. I hope you are in a better place, get to where you need to be, mentally. I've skipped multiple nights of sleep and assignments to make sure the minor inconveniences my friends had was something I could fix, because I'm not much without those people. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.